Do you dream to retire before your parents or see minor children under your care retire as millionaires? Then, folks, you are in the right place. Assalamu alaikum and peace be upon you. Welcome to the Muslim Women Invest podcast. I am your host, Dr. Miral Azam Khalil. For the greater part of the past decade, I have invested in the US stock market, US farmland, and real estate, put over 100 families towards creating generational wealth through minor investing. In this podcast, we talk all things money and empower Muslim women to take steps towards financial freedom through busting myths and small, bite sized, actionable steps. So let's begin, starting with the dua of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, or Prophet Moses. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum everyone. If you can hear me, can you put a yes in the chat box? Naima and Mavra, welcome guys. We're gonna have a shortest session today because I was out of town, and but it's really important. I want to comment on the state of the stock market, the instability of the stock market, and why buying in a dip is a good idea. Okay, so let's begin. Assalamu alaikum and welcome. If you are new to my lesson, normally I have PowerPoint presentations, but I was out of town. And so instead of skipping this session, I thought I should give you guys a hint on an upcoming series that I'm going to be doing, which was inspired by almost 10 years of investing in the stock market and also my 36th birthday, which was yesterday. Alhamdulillah. Why do I want to do this? Is because I think my investing history or the mistakes that I've made in the past decade or so can help you guys be more successful in the stock market and not allow you to either invest out of greed and take the money out of fear, because I've been through a recession, COVID, the 2016 presidential election when Trump was elected. All of these things affect the stock market, and I want you guys to be aware of this, that a lot of people panic and take their money out of the stock market, which is not a good move. So let's begin. I always start with the dua of Hazrat Musa. Rabbish Shahri Sadri wa Yassirli Amri Wahlul Uqdatam min Lisani Yafqahu Qawli. Being a type A person, I usually come with slides and everything, but I'm going to be impromptu, and I hope this is beneficial. So one of the comments that I want to make on the stock market this week is that there was a meeting of the federal government. Last week, the federal government, which is the FRB, the Federal Reserve Board, which announced that they are going to be looking at hiking interest rates. What does that mean for you and me, which is a common person? It means that inflation is still out of control. Normally, they want to keep inflation, which is the increase in prices, at 2%, which we pay as end consumers. And so right now the inflation is standing at, I think, 4%, which is down from 8%, which was last year. One of the things that I want to mention about a capitalistic society is, guys, that the capitalistic society is not like it's not like socialism. So it does not benefit the masses. The capitalistic society is bound to benefit the person who takes the most risk, and which are businesses and which are investors. So people, like everyday normal working class people, are taxed a lot more than people who invest and passively earn income through the stock market. So it's skewed towards favoring people who take more of a risk. One of the biggest things that are a takeaway from this week is that every time there's a major announcement, and I want you to notice this trend. If you are a reader, you are going to do really well in the stock market. What do I mean by being a reader? So when I wake up in the morning, I have a routine. I am subscribed to Yahoo Finance, I'm subscribed to CNBC, and what I do is that the stocks that I am watching, or the companies that I am investing in, I make it a point to read about them every single day. And because I do not invest in a lot of companies, initially when I started off, I made literally no money because I put my money in one single stock randomly here and there. And then I learned the hard way that you need to find a couple of companies if you need to day trade. And if you want to put your money and retire with an income, you need to just put it in the index funds and retire. And we can talk about that more later. But now I have a few companies that I'm following that I know are doing well, and I can make money off every day because I am a day trader. This is what I do. Even being a physician, let me tell you, if you are a reader, you can make money, because what happens is that every time there is news about the company, or there's news about globally there's something happening, or there's something happening in the domestic market, it affects the stock market. So just an example, and then we're going to end our lesson, and I'm going to announce a new series, is that Microsoft is acquiring Microsoft, the ticker number, which is the shortcut, the short name that it uses to as a ticker for which is used as a short it's an acronym for Microsoft, is MSFT. So that company trades on the New York Stock Exchange as MSFT. Everybody's familiar with Microsoft. They are in a long battle with Sony, which is another company, over Activision Blizzard. If you've not heard of it, it's a very important deal. There's a game. There are many games that you must have heard of. Candy Crush is one of them. Activision Blizzard is a software company that powers these games. And Microsoft made a power move last year to acquire Activision Blizzard. There's another very famous game that they power, and I'm forgetting the name, but I'm going to email that to you guys. So what Sony did is, and what the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, which is fighting Microsoft over this acquisition, is that if Microsoft acquires this particular software, it's going to run Sony and other competitors out of the market, and this is not fair trade. So FTC is trying to block Microsoft from acquiring this big powerhouse of a gaming big powerhouse of a gaming company, Activision Blizzard, which powers these powerful, really highly used games like Candy Crush. This is one of the biggest news of the market, because they have a deadline of 15th July. Today is 9th July, and so this is a summary of what I am telling you, is that this is how I keep in touch with the stock market. I keep my hand on the pulse of the stock market, and this is how day traders make money. If you are if you wake up in the morning and if you start reading the news, you are as good as a trader as anybody on Wall Street, because the fact of the matter is that if you are following a few companies, and they are big powerful companies, it could be Microsoft, it could be Meta, it could be Tesla. I personally do not invest in Tesla. That is just something I put it out there. And these companies are this is in no way an endorsement of these companies, but I'm just giving you an example. If you follow a couple of companies, and if you read about them every single day, and you know that the news, and you look at their trend, if you look at how they have been performing financially for over 6 months, you can pretty much understand. And what their fiscal report is. Every big company has a quarterly fiscal report. They have to tell their investors what they are doing, what are they doing with their money, how are they investing the funds, if they've met their financial goals or not. And it's really, honestly, to me, because I'm a reader from the beginning, it's really enjoyable to me. Why? Because then I can make a calculated move, that should I invest in this company, should I keep my money in this company, or should I just drain from this stock and look at some other stock. Honestly, this has paid for my vacation, this has paid for a lot of things. And one of the biggest person who'd never thought that this is gonna work was my husband. So a lot of people, and even people you are in intimate relationships with, will put their fears on you, and because they have a fear of the unknown. But I always believe that if you gain some kind of knowledge and if you explore a new path, it's going to be scary because it's not known to you. But just because it's not known to you, that doesn't mean it's a scam. That is the problem time and time again, and the mind blocker that I think women in general have. Number one, that we earn a lot less than men, and we are very protective of our money, and we are emotional spenders. So we are going to spend in things that are tangible, but they are liabilities. What do I mean by a liability? And I'm an emotional spender myself. For example, if I see something nice, I'm gonna buy it for myself, but I never calculate if this is gonna be an asset to me or if it's gonna be a liability. The problem with this kind of thinking is that with the credit cards, it always keeps us trapped. So we have to think, you know, practically. And when you become an investor, you have to think that if this is over $100, is this going to be a liability for me in the long run, or is this going to be beneficial to me? Is it just going to be an asset? Is it going to pay off itself? So education is, for one thing, not a liability, it's an asset, because nobody can steal it from you and you're learning something new. Honestly, it's investing in yourself is the best thing. To me, a liability would be investing in gemstones. Sometimes if I like jewelry, I don't know, I mean, you could do so many things. If you like jewelry and if it's not pure gold, normally it's a liability, because it never sells or resells for the same value until and unless it's a very it's like a Colombian emerald, or if it's something that is really highly it's a big diamond or something which has a certification. So my rant is going to end very soon. This is all we do. This is what we do every week. Every week I'm more prepared. I just still wanted to give you a feedback of why the market, if you guys are investors, why the market is doing what it's doing, is because number one, the federal government, the minutes out of the FRB is telling people that there are going to be more rate hikes. The labor market report came out and it is clearly showing that the labor market is still hot, which means we created, I think, close to 400,000 jobs in the private sector. They want the jobs to come down. So this is one of the side effects, or this is one of the things, that the insidious things that we don't talk about living in a capitalistic society, is that whenever there's inflation, the way they control inflation is that they have to stop the money circulating in the market. How do you stop money circulating in the market? You take away jobs. I mean, it is as evil as it sounds, but this is the side effect of living in a capitalistic society. So they're looking at job cuts. They want the labor market to cool off. That's why there are many big firms are laying off people, and because they just don't have the money. They, instead of cutting on their own profits, what corporations are going to do is they are going to lay you off. And as we end this, I just want to remind you is that regardless of where you are in your journey, um, I am a physician and I have no background in the stocks or in finance, and I have no degrees, but experience, learning, paying other people to teach me, may it be an accountant or big stock investors or big names. I've learned from women. I just want to clarify this. I don't remember having a male mentor. I have learned from women of color. In fact, one of the people that I learned from, and I paid her $5,000 to teach me day trading, is Terry Igioma. She's a very popular black stock exchanger, and her net worth is now close to 70 million. So all I'm trying to tell you guys is that invest in your education. If you want to be financially independent, you have to be investing. There is no other way to become wealthy or to leave your children rich or to create generational wealth. And I don't say this lightly, but when you have money and you are going to grow opportunities, you are going to be more helpful to people around you. So please don't take it as when is it enough, or I have enough. You need to have an emergency fund. You need to be creating opportunities, and you're in one of the biggest economies of the world, so it's a moral obligation on you to create the opportunities, to be the beacon of light for other women, to tell other people that there's another way out, to share this message with other people so that they understand that the economy and the financial structure of our of the United States, and the tax bracket favors people who are investors. If you're an investor, if you're a business, you are taxed the least. If you are a W-2 worker, you are taxed the most. So I'm just going to leave you with that. I am going to be starting an email series called 36 Lessons That I Learned in 36 Years of Investing. I began investing when I was 15 years old. I bought my first, I bought something of gold. I think it was earrings, or it was a ring. And I will share my story why, and I will tell you guys what did I learn in 16 years of investing now, and more than 10 years of investing in the stock market. If you guys have any questions, I will take them right now. If not, please be prepared for awesome small emails coming in next week. Jazakallah khair. And let me see if anybody has any questions. Naima or Mavra, if you guys have any questions, let me know. If not, we're gonna go wrap up our session for today. And if you want some homework, the homework is that go to Yahoo Finance, go to CNBC, and start reading what is happening in the finance world. Read what's happening to the stock market, read what's happening to inflation and everything. That is going to honestly put you ahead of anybody who's investing. This is how we invest. This is how anybody who's giving investing advice is reading, 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 reading. Okay, perfect. I'm so excited when somebody says they're excited to learn from me. Anybody else? Naima, are you here? Naima, I'm a physician, so this is a really good question. I teach people for free, but I also consult. Why do I teach people for free? Is because there's a mind block that a lot of women have. I was unfortunately or fortunately not one of those, so I am kind of a risk taker. Majority of Muslim women are not risk takers. What I've seen is that uh, women stay in abusive relationships because they think they have no financial power over their spouses. We force teens, I work with kids, we are forcing teenagers into jobs or into careers that they are not interested in, and they're never going to excel at it. Basically, the fear amongst parents and the fear amongst, especially amongst women, is that if they're not going to have a particular career, parents fear that their kids are going to end up on the streets, right? They're not going to be able to pay bills. That's our fear with our kids. The fear with people in abusive relationships is that there's a money power dynamic. I started these free lessons because the more you teach, the more you learn. And I want people to understand that the stock market has a huge potential for people to invest. There's a huge potential for financial freedom. Also, a lot of people don't understand that if you are following Islamic law, and if you're putting money in your checking account, because of inflation, your money is decreasing, or the buying power of that savings is decreasing every year. And so you should be investing. A lot of women come to me and tell me that the financial decisions of their family are primarily made by men. I have nothing against it. The first client that I had was a male who was 15 years older than me, and um, he made such a useful deal. So he offered me $3,500 to teach him everything, and I thought, um, I was so excited. What if, I mean, just imagine, what if somebody were to offer you, you're a newbie and you're a young physician, and somebody who's your colleague, 15 years older than you, um, says that, can you teach me and I'll pay you? So I asked him, I was like, I'm a newbie, why would you pay me? And he was like, because if I don't pay you, you are never going to give your best. That male physician, I'm 36, he is 15, 16 years older than me. I think he's in his 50s. He ended up making $3 million just based on my financial advice and just investing in general. But how did he make that money? Is because he had a lot of money in his savings. He had that money lying around, and he wasn't investing. So just by minimally asking me and just putting his money in index funds, which honestly is no risk at all. If you put your money in index funds, and if you have a lot of money, you are going to retire with a lot of money. We can talk about it later. But paying me, he made $3 million just by putting that money in the stock market and starting to invest. So that motivated me that, men are so quick at taking opportunities, right? He saw something, he went for it. It was nothing for him, and he ended up making a lot more. But we as women, we take it because we make such less money, and we are so protective of our income, and we are so scared of taking a risk. We never try to go into an unknown territory, or try to learn something new. So you reminded me of something that is so old, but I mean, if you divide 3 million by what he paid me in pennies, and this is what women do. We never ask for our worth. I was so scared of teaching him. I was like, he's my colleague, he's 15 years older than me. What if something were to fail? But he never, one of the things which was really good about him is that every time I told him something, he was extremely respectful to me as a teacher. He took me as a teacher. And so all I'm trying to tell you is that we as women do not ask for our worth. And he ended up making a really good deal, is what I'm going to say. So that's pretty much, that's the story. So I decided that, we need more women to speak about it. A lot of people are making money in the stock market, but they are gatekeeping. This is the problem with the financial world. There's a lot of gray area, there's a lot of gatekeeping, and then there's nobody cares about Islamic financing, because why would I learn the Islamic financing if there are no Muslim clients? You know what I mean? Traditional financial education does not involve Islamic financing. Nobody would care less about a checkings or a savings account. Anyway, that is my story, and I am over time. So jazakallah khair. I am a very excitable being when I talk about stocks and everything, but honestly, it's a really good way to make money and passive income and enjoy that money over vacations, or honestly, God knows, anything that you want, bags, jewelry, whatever. So jazakallah khair. Will you start charging at some point? What's in it for you? Why are you spending your time on us? Mavra, I've been teaching for a very long time. I have private consultation that is open to anybody at any time. No, I will never charge for my Sunday classes. This is something that I do for myself. This is something as a way for me to give back. I have never charged for this class. No, I don't. I don't charge for my newsletters. I don't charge to teach you. I do charge when people want a private consultation. That is because if you have a financial relationship, you cannot give financial advice which is not specific to that person. It's illegal. So you have to have a contract, you need to understand the dynamics of that particular person. So this is honestly open advice. It's not like me giving you a stock pick, or it's not like me advising Mavra or Naima particularly. But if you would like for me to consult you, there is a fee. But then there are questionnaires, and there's a legal form that you have to fill, and I have to fill, so that your financial information is protected and my knowledge is protected too, so that you're not sharing my financial plans with anybody else, because it's kind of unethical and it's illegal for me to give out financial advice over a free session. Does that clarify? I'm not spending time on us. It's honestly for me as well. The more you teach, that's what I've learned. The more you teach, the more you will learn. Because every new person, honestly, I'm not perfect. Once in a while, I get people, they ask me a question, and I'm like, I don't know the answer. Let me get back to you. I go back to my trading Facebook group. I go back to my mentor, and I ask her that question. So honestly, the more you teach, even if it's for free, the more you will learn. The more you gatekeep, the more you don't share, you will never learn. Okay? Perfect. Any more questions? All right, guys. See you next week. Allah Hafiz. I hope you enjoyed the show. Let's end our podcast with a very powerful surah from the Quran. A surah is a chapter of the Quran, and this surah is Surat Al Asr. I started my investing journey and began teaching investing because of this surah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that only people who guide people to the right way, to the truth, and to patience are the ones who are going to be successful. Let's end on this beautiful surah, and I will see you later. Bye for now, guys.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر